Hey people, Mike Martin's here with the Mike Martin's channel. Thanks for joining, liking, and subscribing, and all that jazz. Well, here it is. What is happening? Well, the entire monarchy or the Commonwealth is starting to melt into republics. Countries want to become republics. So what's going on all over the world? Well, they're going to create these referendums and all that. Well, I'm going to make this video to let you know you don't even need referendums. Heck, you could change your flag, and you could even denounce the English language. And I'll prove it to you and show you how that happened to my culture. Anyways, so what is going on, folks? Let's take a look at what's happening, and let's go down under in Australia. That was the Commonwealth, and what is happening? Well, they're already hinting through their mainstream media. There it is right there. King Charles III coins will be legal tender even if Australia becomes a republic. So they're now hinting to the people, and if you guys know this, well, how the mainstream media works, and they usually hint it so that you're being told slowly in increments. The Royal Australia Mint has announced that the first coin featuring King Charles III will be in circulation from 2023 and will remain legal tender even if Australia becomes a republic. So there it is right there. So what's happening here? Go on Google, type in all kinds of top stories. Antigua and Barbuda plans referendum to become a republic. Former New Zealand PM, major hurdle for country to become a republic. And it keeps going on and on and on. And for people living in Canada, well, this is what the mainstream media is telling you. Why it would be virtually impossible for Canada to drop the monarchy. And that's, people are wondering why Canadians are leaving Canada in a frantic pace. So there it is. They're already letting you know in Canada, we can't get rid of this. Canada Constitution makes it incredibly challenging for the country to end its ties with the monarchy. I think it would be very difficult, says Alan, a legal theorist and law professor at York University, told CTV News. Any change in the arrangements around the crown would require an unanimity of all provinces and the federal government. The chances of getting that are not good. So Canada is a constitutional monarchy, which means the British sovereign is our ceremonial head of state, represented by the Governor General. Following the death of the Queen Elizabeth II, Charles III ascended the British throne and became the King of Canada. Becoming impossible. They're already telling us in Canada, because in Canada, I think we're going to be the new Australia. I think they're going to start using us as the petri dish of the Commonwealth, of how we test things out. And that's what's happening right now. Well, what is happening? Well, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at my culture and how we were basically all stripped down of everything. So there it is right there. It is the Portuguese Empire was basically the longest standing North Africa in 1415, and to the transfer of sovereignty to China in 1999 with Macau. And the long-lasting European history lasting almost 6 centuries. So it basically goes into that. So what happened to us? Well, look at that. The capital, Rio de Janeiro, 1808 to 1820. Wow. It goes way back into the 14. There it is right there. There's the monarchy from 1415 to 1910. And it became a republic in 1910 to 1999. So how did they get out? How did they rip everything apart? How did they do this? What did they do? Well, they ripped apart our colonies. We actually built cities. We actually built infrastructure. We actually built stadiums, highways, airports, taxi stands. And this is back in the 70s when the Portuguese there. Look at those. So what happened? Why did they take this away from the Portuguese? Why weren't the Portuguese allowed to have one of the biggest oil reserves in the world? And let's go to Maputo. There it is right there. Maputo. There it is right there. Mozambique. It was a big, grandstanding, beautiful city. These are pictures from the 70s, by the way, folks. So you could see, and look what happened after the Portuguese left. And that is what they did with, that's, again, Maputo. Look at that. Look at what we had back in the day. Look at the jobs, the economy, the export. People in the country were actually getting rich. There was no segregation. People worked together. But the mainstream media and news painted a picture of the evil Portuguese are destroying. See, I was supposed to be born in Angola. I wouldn't have to be living in an English colony ruled by a monarchy, right? So basically, how did they do it? Well, they went in there and they ripped everything apart. The Dutch, the French, the English, everybody went into the Portuguese colonies and basically said, You can't have any remnants of Portuguese culture on your flags, even though you guys are considered. You go to Angola, you ask anyone that lives there, they say, I'm Portuguese. but you're in Angola, but I'm Portuguese. Same thing with East Timor. But the problem is, they took the flag, any remnants of any flag of any Portuguese culture. They even denounced the language and said, you can't speak Portuguese anymore, even though you've been speaking it for 500 years. You're going to have to speak French or something else. They denounced everything Portuguese in there to destroy the remnants. To destroy the remnants like Texas, the Republic of Texas, was its own country at one time and was the Lone Star State. It was its own republic. It was its own country. But you bring it up now in America, the leftists, well, no, you can't say that. There can't be two countries in America. It's one country. And the liberals rule it. So people talking of secession or being independent is considered now it's like a hate crime. But they did it to the Portuguese within months. They removed all of the trade systems, all of the stuff that went in there. And then now look at Mozambique today, what they did. The banks, the World Bank lent them a bunch of money. Now they can't pay it back. And they're coming in and taking their territory. China's ripping up apart Portuguese China, Portuguese Africa, and stealing their natural resources to build islands. You know what I'm saying? So these countries have asked Portugal to come back and recolonize, come back. We just want to be part of the good times when you guys were here because we became you guys. See, a lot of people don't know that, right? We became them. They became us. We were outnumbered. We were always outnumbered. And that's why they speak Portuguese in Brazil today. So this has become a problem, right? Monarchies and empires have been completely destroyed and uttered and put under the rug of non-existence. And no one... It's impossible to start finding pictures of the remnants of what these countries look like before the WEF and all the banking system. It happened in Iraq, it happened in Libya, it happened in Syria, it happened in those. These are more modern destabilizations that's happened modernly. Portuguese were back in the 1970s. But they purposely did this because all the other European countries were kicked out of Africa except the Portuguese. Hence, come back and recolonize us. And that's what's happened. And this is what has happened. Go on your Wikipedia and see how terrible the Portuguese were. Look at the English side of history. There's always going to be three sides of history in my perspective. The Spanish, the English, and the Portuguese. When the Portuguese were ruling the seas in the 1400s, there was all kinds of stuff happening all over the world, and everyone gave their perspective of what they thought was going on, and which one you want to believe in, you go ahead and believe in it. Anyways, because you're free to believe in what you want. Anyways, can Canada become a republic? It's actually not that hard. I showed you what happened to the Portuguese Empire. They went in there and basically took everything and dismantled the entire countries, entire trade organization, because the World Banks did not want competition. Now, you have to look at this and say, what's in it for the World Bank if Canada becomes a republic? You have to see it at that perspective. They don't care about what we think, and they never will care about what we think. They need to know what is in it for Canada to become a republic, for the World Economic Forum, for Agenda 2030. What is in it for the people, right? They're already telling us that we can't become a republic here. We can't dissolve the Crown land. We can't free the people, right? So that is a major issue for people in Canada. So let me know what you guys think. Things haven't gotten better at all in the last 10, 15, 20 years. After Canada closed immigration to Europe in 1993, I just started seeing the whole downhill decline of Canada real quick in a heartbeat. And it hasn't resuscitated since then. And Canada brought in a bunch of Portuguese laborers in the early 2000s and totally deport them in 2007 when the housing market started to go south, even though they were promised permanent residency in Canada, right? So this is like a big... I don't know. I'm just talking here. I'm just rambling on. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna let you guys comment below. Could Canada become a monarchy? Could Canada get out of the monarchyism and become a republic and become an independent country? That is what we want to know, right? It's been done before to other countries within hours. Some of them, right? All trade ties to Portugal, nil, zero. No trade ties. No, your language, your flag, your everything, basically gone. No existence, non-existence. Cuba invaded Angola. Look it up. 5,000 miles away. Look it up. Anyways, Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.